Hey, Michael. I'm so glad we finally found time to meet up. How was your week?
Oh, you know how it is, pretty hectic as usual. I've been working on this big project at the office, and it's been consuming most of my time. But I shouldn't complain too much. At least it's Friday now. What about you? How have things been going?
Actually, things have been quite interesting lately. I started taking those photography classes I mentioned a few weeks ago, and I'm absolutely loving it. The instructor is fantastic. She has this amazing ability to explain complex techniques in such a simple way that even complete beginners can understand.
That sounds wonderful. I remember you saying you wanted to get more creative hobbies. Have you taken any good pictures yet?
Well, I'm still learning the basics, but last weekend, I went to the botanical garden downtown and took some shots of the flowers there. I was surprised by how much thought goes into getting the right angle and lighting. It's not as easy as people think, but that's what makes it so rewarding when you finally get that perfect shot.
I can imagine. You know, that reminds me of when I first started learning to cook. Everyone assumed it would be simple, just follow the recipe right. But there are so many little details that can make or break a dish. The temperature, the timing, even the way you cut the vegetables can affect the final result.
Exactly. Speaking of which, are you still experimenting with those international recipes you found online?
Oh yes, definitely. Last month I tried making authentic Thai green curry from scratch, and let me tell you, it was quite an adventure. I had to visit 3 different grocery stores just to find all the ingredients. Some of the spices I'd never even heard of before.
How did it turn out?
Well, the first attempt was, let's just say it was educational. I may have gotten a bit too enthusiastic with the chili peppers. My roommate couldn't stop coughing after just one bite. But I learned from my mistakes, and the second time around it was actually pretty delicious.
That's hilarious. I love how you just keep trying until you get it right. That's such a valuable attitude to have, not just with cooking, but with everything in life, really.
Thanks, Sarah. You know, that's actually something I've been thinking about a lot lately. I've been considering taking a sabbatical from work next year to travel around Southeast Asia. I want to experience different cultures firsthand and maybe pick up some language skills along the way.
Wow, that sounds incredible. Which countries are you thinking of visiting?
I'm planning to start in Thailand partly because I'm already familiar with the cuisine, then work my way through Vietnam, Cambodia, and possibly Laos. I've heard that the people in that region are incredibly welcoming to travelers, and the cost of living is relatively low compared to Europe or North America.
That's so exciting. How long are you planning to be away?
Ideally, I'd like to take about 6 months. I know it sounds like a long time, but I really want to immerse myself in the local cultures rather than just being a typical tourist who rushes from one landmark to another. I want to stay in smaller towns, maybe do some volunteer work and really get to know the places I visit.
I think that's a brilliant approach. You know, my cousin did something similar a few years ago. She spent 8 months backpacking through South America, and she always says it was the most transformative experience of her life. She learned Spanish fluently, made lifelong friendships, and gained so much confidence in herself.
That's exactly the kind of experience I'm hoping for. The thing is, I'm a bit nervous about leaving my comfort zone. I mean, I've traveled before, but always to English-speaking countries or places where tourism is very well developed. This would be completely different.
I understand your concerns, but I think that's precisely what will make it so valuable. Some of my most meaningful experiences have happened when I pushed myself beyond what felt comfortable. Remember when I was terrified about giving that presentation at the conference last year?
Oh right, you were so anxious about it. But you did amazingly well, and it led to that promotion, didn't it?
Exactly. Sometimes the things that scare us the most are the ones that help us grow the most. And you're such a resourceful person. I have complete confidence that you'll handle whatever challenges come your way.
You're right, Sarah. I suppose I should stop overthinking and start planning more seriously. Actually, I've been reading travel blogs and watching YouTube videos about budget traveling in Southeast Asia. There's this whole community of people who share incredibly detailed information about everything from visa requirements to the best local restaurants.
The internet has made planning these kinds of trips so much easier than it used to be. My parents always tell stories about how they had to rely on guidebooks and word-of-mouth recommendations when they were young. Now you can read reviews, see photos, and even take virtual tour before you go anywhere.
True, though sometimes I wonder if having too much information might take away some of the mystery and spontaneity of traveling. There's something to be said for just showing up somewhere and discovering things as you go.
That's a really interesting point. I think there's probably a balance to be struck. Maybe you could plan the basic logistics, flights, visas, first few nights of accommodation, but leave plenty of room for unexpected adventures along the way.
That sounds like a sensible approach. You know, talking about this with you is really helping me clarify my thoughts. I was starting to get overwhelmed by all the possibilities, but breaking it down like this makes it feel much more manageable.
I'm so glad I could help. You know what? This conversation is making me realize that I should be more adventurous too. I've been playing it safe for too long. Maybe I should plan my own adventure, nothing as ambitious as your Southeast Asia trip, but something that challenges me.
What kind of thing are you thinking about?
Well, I've always wanted to do one of those photography workshops in a really scenic location. There are some amazing programs in places like Iceland, New Zealand, or the Scottish Highlands. You spend a week with a professional photographer, learning advanced techniques while exploring breathtaking landscapes.
That sounds perfect for you. You'd get to combine your new passion for photography with travel, and you'd probably meet other people who share your interests.
Exactly. And it wouldn't be as intimidating as traveling solo to a completely unfamiliar place. There would be a structured program and other participants to share the experience with.
Say, we're both getting inspired to step outside our comfort zones. This is why I love our conversations, Sarah. You always help me see things from a different perspective.
The feeling is mutual, Michael. It's so important to have friends who encourage you to pursue your dreams rather than talking you out of them. Speaking of which, we should probably start making concrete plans instead of just talking about them.
You're absolutely right. How about this? Let's make a pact. By the end of this month, I'll have booked my first workshop for the photography trip, and you'll have taken at least one concrete step toward planning your Asia adventure. Deal.
Deal. But wait, I think you mixed that up. You're the one going to Asia, and I'm doing the photography workshop.
Oh my goodness, you're right. See, I'm so excited about both ideas that I got confused. Let me rephrase that. By the end of this month, you'll have researched and contacted at least one photography workshop, and I'll have started the visa application process for my Southeast Asia trip. How does that sound?
Perfect. I love having specific, achievable goals like that. It makes the whole thing feel less like a distant dream and more like something that's actually going to happen.
Absolutely. You know, this reminds me of something my grandfather used to say: a goal without a plan is just a wish. He was talking about his business at the time, but I think it applies to everything in life.
Your grandfather sounds like he was a wise man. I think I need to adopt that philosophy more in my own life. I'm good at dreaming big, but sometimes I struggle with the follow-through.
I think most people do, to be honest. The trick is to break big goals down into smaller, manageable steps. That way you don't get overwhelmed and you can celebrate little victories along the way.
That's excellent advice. You know, I'm feeling really motivated right now. I think I might even do some research on those photography workshops when I get home tonight.
And I'm going to start looking into visa requirements and vaccination recommendations for Thailand. It's funny how a casual conversation over coffee can turn into such a catalyst for change.
I love that about life. You never know when inspiration is going to strike or where it's going to lead you. The key is being open to new possibilities and having the courage to act on them.
Couldn't agree more, Sarah. Here's to new adventures and stepping outside our comfort zones.
Cheers to that. And thank you for such an inspiring afternoon. I can't wait to see where these conversations lead us.
Same here. Let's make sure to keep each other accountable, okay? I want to hear all about your workshop research, and you can help me navigate the visa application process.
Absolutely. That's what friends are for. This is going to be an exciting journey for both of us.
Speaking of journeys, I've been meaning to ask you about your new job. How are you finding working at the marketing agency? It's been about 3 months now.
Oh, yes, it's been quite a learning curve. The pace is so much faster than my previous job at the nonprofit organization. At first, I was honestly a bit overwhelmed by how quickly everything moves in the commercial world. Clients want results immediately, and there's always pressure to come up with creative solutions on tight deadlines.
That sounds challenging. Are you enjoying it though?
I really am, actually. The thing I love most is how diverse the projects are. One week I might be working on a campaign for a tech startup, and the next week it's a traditional restaurant chain. Each client brings completely different challenges and target audiences, so I never get bored.
That's fantastic. I imagine it's also great for building your portfolio. You must be learning so many different skills.
Exactly. I've had to learn about social media advertising, which was completely new to me. My previous job was mostly print materials and basic website content. Now I'm dealing with Instagram stories, TikTok campaigns, and Google ads. It's like learning a whole new language sometimes.
The digital marketing world changes so rapidly too. I remember when Facebook ads were the big thing, and now everyone's talking about influencer marketing and short-form video content.
Oh, don't even get me started on TikTok. I felt so out of touch when I first started. Here I was, thinking I understood social media, because I posted photos on Instagram occasionally. But creating content that actually engages younger audiences is a completely different skill set.
How did you adapt to that? Did you have to spend time researching trends and stuff?
I did. I actually started following a bunch of marketing podcasts and YouTube channels during my commute. There's this one podcast called Marketing Mavericks that breaks down successful campaigns and explains why they worked. It's been incredibly helpful for understanding the psychology behind effective advertising.
That's smart. That reminds me of something I've been struggling with at my job. We've been trying to modernize our customer service approach, but some of the older managers are resistant to change. They're comfortable with phone calls and emails, but our customers increasingly expect instant responses through chat systems and social media.
Oh, that's such a common issue. How are you handling the resistance?
Well, I've been collecting data to support the changes we want to make. Last month, I put together a presentation showing how our competitors are using live chat systems and how much faster their response times are. I also found statistics about customer satisfaction rates when companies offer multiple contact methods.
Data is so powerful for convincing people who are hesitant about change. Did your presentation help?
It's starting to. The management team agreed to a 3-month trial period for implementing a chat system on our website. It's not everything I hoped for, but it's a step in the right direction. Sometimes you have to be patient with organizational change.
Absolutely. Speaking of patience, I've been trying to be more patient with myself as I learn photography. Some days I get frustrated because my photos don't turn out the way I envision them. But my instructor keeps reminding us that photography is as much about developing an artistic eye as it is about technical skills.
What kind of photography are you most interested in? Portraits, landscapes, street photography.
I'm still experimenting to find my style, but I'm really drawn to nature photography. There's something peaceful about being outdoors with just my camera, waiting for the perfect lighting or that moment when an animal appears. Last weekend, I spent 2 hours sitting quietly by a lake, just waiting for the right shot of some ducks.
2 hours. That requires serious dedication. Did you get the shot you wanted?
Not exactly the one I had in mind, but I got something even better. Just as I was about to pack up, this family of swans appeared, and the late afternoon light was hitting the water perfectly. It was one of those magical moments where everything just comes together naturally.
Those unexpected moments often make the best photos, don't they? It's like cooking, sometimes the best dishes happen when you deviate from the original plan.
That's such a perfect analogy. Speaking of cooking, how's your culinary experimentation going? Have you tried any new cuisines since that Thai curry adventure?
Oh, yes, I've been on this Mediterranean kick lately. I made Greek moussaka from scratch 2 weeks ago, and it was surprisingly complex. The bechamel sauce alone took me 3 attempts to get right. But when it finally came together, it was absolutely delicious.
Moussaka sounds intimidating. What made you want to try such a challenging dish?
Honestly, I was inspired by this travel documentary about Greece that I watched. The way they filmed the food preparation made everything look so artistic and meaningful. It wasn't just about eating, it was about tradition, family, and taking time to create something beautiful.
I love that perspective on cooking. It's funny how travel content can inspire us even when we're stuck at home. I've been watching a lot of photography documentaries lately, and they have the same effect on me.
What kind of documentaries?
There's this incredible series about wildlife photographers who spend months in remote locations waiting to capture rare animal behaviors. One episode followed a photographer who lived in a tiny tent in the Arctic for 6 months just to document polar bears. The dedication is mind-blowing.
That level of commitment is amazing, but also kind of scary to me. Being that isolated for so long would be really challenging mentally.
I know what you mean. I think that's part of why I'm attracted to it, though. The idea of pushing yourself to the absolute limit for your art. Obviously, I'm not ready for anything that extreme, but it makes me want to challenge myself more with my photography projects.
Have you thought about entering any photography competitions or joining a photography club?
Actually, my instructor mentioned that there's a local photography society that organizes monthly challenges and group outings. I'm thinking about joining after I finish this current course. It would be great to meet other people who share the same passion and learn from their experiences.
That sounds like a perfect next step. You know, this whole conversation is making me realize how important it is to have creative outlets outside of work. I've been so focused on my job and planning this travel adventure that I haven't been nurturing any artistic hobbies.
What kind of creative activities have you enjoyed in the past?
When I was younger, I used to write short stories. Nothing serious, just little fictional tales about interesting characters I'd imagine. I haven't done that in years, but talking about your photography makes me wonder if I should pick up writing again.
You should. Creative writing is such a valuable skill, and it's something you can do anywhere. Plus, when you're traveling through Southeast Asia, you'll probably have so many experiences and meet so many interesting people that would make great story material.
That's a really good point. I could keep a travel journal and maybe turn some of those experiences into stories. It would be a way to process and remember the trip more deeply than just taking photos.
Exactly. And writing regularly would also help you improve your observation skills, which could make you a more thoughtful traveler. You might notice details and cultural nuances that other tourists miss.
I'm getting excited about this idea. Maybe I should start writing again before the trip, just to get back into practice. Do you think it would be weird to carry a notebook around and jot down observations about daily life?
Not at all. I think that's actually a great idea. Some of the most interesting stories come from everyday moments that most people overlook, like the conversation between two strangers on a bus, or the way sunlight hits a building at a specific time of day.
You're right. You know, this ties back to what we were discussing earlier about stepping outside our comfort zones. Maybe my comfort zone isn't just about geographic travel, maybe it's also about getting back in touch with parts of myself that I've neglected.
That's such an insightful way to think about it. Personal growth happens in so many different dimensions. For me, photography has been pushing me to slow down and really observe the world around me, instead of rushing through life without paying attention.
How has that changed your daily routine?
Well, I've started taking longer walks to and from work, and I bring my camera with me sometimes. Instead of checking my phone during my lunch break, I'll sit outside and practice composition by framing different scenes, even if I don't actually take photos. It's made me so much more aware of light, shadows, and interesting angles in ordinary places.
That sounds really meditative. I think I could benefit from that kind of mindful approach to daily life. I'm usually so task-oriented that I miss a lot of what's happening around me.
It definitely takes practice to shift that mindset. At first, I felt guilty about wasting time by walking slowly and observing things. But now, I realize it's actually making me more creative and less stressed overall.
Speaking of stress, how are you managing the transition to your new job? When you first started at the marketing agency, you mentioned feeling overwhelmed.
The first month was definitely rough. I was staying late almost every night trying to prove myself, and I was constantly worried about making mistakes. My supervisor had to actually tell me to slow down and ask questions instead of struggling alone.
That's good advice from your supervisor. It shows they care about your long-term success, not just immediate results.
Exactly. She told me something that really stuck with me. It's better to ask 5 questions and do something right the first time than to guess and have to redo it 3 times. Now I'm much more comfortable admitting when I don't understand something.
That's such an important lesson for any new job. I remember when I started my current position 5 years ago, I was terrified of looking incompetent, so I'd spend hours researching things I could have learned in 5 minutes by asking a colleague.
5 years. Has your job changed a lot since you started?
Oh, dramatically. When I first joined the company, we were still using mostly traditional communication methods with clients. Now everything is digital, and the expectations for response times have completely shifted. Clients expect updates within hours, not days.
How do you feel about that change?
Honestly, it's a mixed bag. On one hand, the efficiency is great. We can solve problems and make decisions much faster than before. On the other hand, there's this constant pressure to be available and responsive all the time. Sometimes I miss the days when you could actually disconnect from work at the end of the day.
I completely understand that feeling. At my previous job, things moved more slowly. And while sometimes that was frustrating, there was also something nice about having time to think through decisions carefully.
Right. And that's another reason why I'm excited about this Southeast Asia trip. It'll be a chance to disconnect from all the digital noise and just experience life at a different pace. In some of the places I want to visit, internet access might be limited anyway.
That could be really refreshing. Do you think you'll be able to actually disconnect? Or will you be tempted to find Wi-Fi and check in with work?
I'm hoping that being in a completely different environment will make it easier. If I were just staying home for a vacation, I know I'd be constantly thinking about emails and projects. But when I'm hiking through jungle trails or exploring ancient temples, work will hopefully feel like it's on another planet.
That makes sense. Immersion is probably key to really disconnecting. Have you started learning any of the languages of the countries you want to visit?
I downloaded a Thai language app about a month ago, and I've been doing the basic lessons. It's incredibly challenging though. The tones are so important for meaning, and my American ear isn't trained to hear those subtle differences yet.
How are you finding the learning process?
Humbling. I thought I was pretty good at picking up new things, but language learning requires such a different type of intelligence. It's not just about memorizing vocabulary, you have to train your mouth to make sounds it's never made before, and your brain to think about grammar in completely different ways.
Are you planning to take any formal classes before you go, or just stick with the app?
I'm thinking about signing up for a conversational Thai class at the community college next semester. The app is good for basics, but I really need practice actually speaking with real people. Plus, I learn better in interactive environments than just staring at my phone.
That's a great idea. Even learning just basic conversational phrases will probably make such a difference in your travel experience. Local people usually appreciate it when visitors make an effort to speak their language, even imperfectly.
That's what I'm hoping. I want to be able to do more than just point at menu items and say thank you. I'd love to have simple conversations with people about their lives and perspectives.
Those kinds of authentic interactions are probably what make travel most meaningful. Speaking of which, Have you thought about documenting your trip in any way besides the writing we talked about?
I'm planning to keep a blog, partly to stay in touch with family and friends, but also to process my experiences. I'm not much of a photographer, but I'll probably take plenty of photos to go along with the writing.
You should definitely document it somehow. Years later, you'll be so grateful to have those detailed records of what you experienced and how you felt about everything.
Do you keep any kind of journal or record of your photography progress?
I started keeping a photo journal recently where I write about what I was trying to achieve with each shot, what worked, and what I'd do differently next time. It's been really helpful for tracking my improvement and identifying patterns in my mistakes.
That's so methodical and smart. I bet that kind of reflection makes you improve much faster than just taking lots of photos without analyzing them.
Definitely. It's also helping me develop my own style and preferences. I'm starting to recognize what kinds of subjects and lighting conditions excite me most, which guides me toward the type of photographer I want to become.
It sounds like we're both entering phases of really intentional learning and growth. Between your photography journey, my travel plans, and both of us considering new creative pursuits, this feels like an exciting time in our lives.
I completely agree. You know what I find interesting? We're both pushing ourselves in areas that combine technical skills with creative expression. Photography is part technical knowledge about cameras and lighting, and part artistic vision. Travel writing would be part observation and research skills, and part creative storytelling.
That's such a good observation. Maybe that balance is what makes these pursuits so fulfilling. They engage different parts of our brains and personalities.
Exactly. And they both involve stepping outside our usual routines and really paying attention to the world around us in new ways.